Nice. Hello, and welcome to the 8-Bit Update, a show where we talk news from the worlds of video games to tabletop. I'm your host, Vincent Edwards, and we got a great show lined up for you today. In just a little bit, we're going to be talking details about Star Citizen, but first, we're going to be talking about the remake of System Shock. Stay with us. So, System Shock, an older and very important game that came out back in 1994. In a time where first-person, three-dimensional games were still not a common occurrence, System Shock proved revolutionary for its time. While dated by modern standards, the game was praised for being both innovative and influential to video games as a whole due to its complex gameplay and impressive three-dimensional engine. The game, along with its sequel, System Shock 2, have been cited as inspiration for many other games thereafter. In fact, the popular games Deus Ex, BioShock, and Prey have all been said to be spiritual successors to the original two System Shock games. Now fast forward to today, the age of remakes, as we are getting a remake of the original System Shock. But you might be wondering, what is this game all about? Well, let me tell you. System Shock is a cyberpunk horror action adventure game that takes place on a space station. A cool aspect is that there are no NPCs to help further the story. Instead, players find data logs that will advance and reveal the plot. Now, a game has got to have an antagonist, and wow, does System Shock have a great one. The main antagonist of the two games is an artificial intelligence by the name of Sentient Hyper-Optimized Data Access Network, or Shodan for short. See, the game is centered around the protagonist, a nameless hacker who got in over his head. He took a job to get someone to drop charges against him. The job? To hack into Shodan and steal information locked away by the AI. Part of this process involved having to remove Shodan's ethical restraints. Great idea, right? Well, the gameplay starts 6 months after this hacking, with the AI currently running the space station after disposing of the former crew. Now, there is a lot to this game, though, and I wonder, how is the remake going to look? So why don't we take a look at the trailer for the remake now?
Interfacing with computers
for their own entertainment. The very notion disgusts me.
Look upon my works, foul creatures,
and weep at its magnificence. It is a beautiful day on Citadel Station.
Humanity is
on the verge of a new era. I, Shodan, am its new
God.
Look at you, hacker. A pathetic creature of meat and bone. How can you challenge a perfect, immortal machine?
You are an insect.
You are nothing. I create. I iterate. I fuse flesh and steel into perfection. My children, hacker. Their blood is on your hands.
You will suffer for your transgressions.
These are my avenging angels, and they will have retribution.
We definitely have come a long way from the first game. It looks like players will be back to blast apart robots, cyborgs, and mutants all over again in this recreation of System Shock. Just some of my first impressions of the game from the trailer are pretty good. The game looks really solid, and the setting is a huge win for me. I'm a big fan of the cyberpunk genre as a whole, and the game definitely has some of those vibes going for it. From the combat to the story and the chilling nature of Shodan, this game seems amazing. I don't even have any worries for this game yet. However, I also have never had the opportunity to play the original System Shock, so I'm sure that there are things that longtime fans are worried about. We'll just have to wait and see, though, to see how it all plays out. I will say that the game was originally supposed to be coming out this month. However, its release has been pushed back until May, as the developer, Night Dive Studios, still needs time to finish a few things before launch. For more details, though, we'll have to wait until May to see how this remake holds up. Now, we're going to take ourselves a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to be talking details about Star Citizen. Stay with us. Located in the Business and Industry Center, Studio 67 is a multimedia studio which creates original and educational content. Studio 67 contains a production studio, control room, and modern video and audio equipment. It is also home to the college's radio station, WNIA Big Bang Radio, which broadcasts locally on 89.1 FM. WNIA plays a mix of alternative and mainstream music and eclectic radio shows. Studio 67 serves as a laboratory and classroom for students enrolled in broadcast and production technology, providing real-world experience. This program offers students a variety of pathways to obtain a degree or certification in media. Students learn audio and video fundamentals, create and edit media productions, and gain experience with studio operations, media writing, and performance techniques. Want to learn more? Contact us today. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. So we just finished talking about the remake of System Shock, but now we're going to be moving on and talking about details from Star Citizen. Alright, so Star Citizen, a game known for having some controversy around it and its development. But before we dive into the juice, let's talk about what the game is. Star Citizen is a massively multiplayer online game set in space. There, players can find a multitude of different ways to become wealthy. Some ways are dangerous, some more dangerous. Whether you are mining for resources on some abandoned rock, you're a mercenary for hire, or maybe a bounty hunter tasked with bringing in criminals, Star Citizen has a place for everybody to have fun. Just watch out though, the game is all online, so other players will be your biggest rival. If you command a mining vessel, you will need to be wary of pirates who may try and steal your cargo. Such is the world of Star Citizen. To help illustrate this, here is a trailer for the latest update of Star Citizen.
Pra voltar, não posso mais viver sem teu sorriso iluminando a manhã. Me perdoa, meu amor, me beija com sabor de quem nunca esqueceu.
Now, this is a trailer showing off the new content that was added to the game here recently. So there is way more to the game than just what you saw here. The reason why I'm showing you this trailer is because this update recently caused fans of Star Citizen to become very upset. See, when the new update dropped, apparently the servers for the game were not ready for the increase in users connecting. Players trying to get in and experience the new update were met with an error message saying that they could not connect to the world. This led to the game being shut down by the developers, Cloud Imperium Games, as they were frantically trying to manage and resolve the issue. So instead of most of the players being unable to play the game, then turned into the entire player base being shut out for maintenance. If this wasn't a big enough problem by itself, the developers later said that while they were fixing the server issue, other problems in the code for the game began to surface. While the game is back up and running for players to get back in and play, there are still issues that the devs are trying to fix. Now, this is only the latest in a dodgy history for Cloud Imperium Games and Star Citizen. The game was originally supposed to be fully released back in 2014. Since then, the game has been continuously delayed and pushed back. Here it is, now 2023, and we still do not have a full release of the game. Now, the game is primarily financed by crowdfunding. However, after the long development time, several of the backers have pulled out and abandoned the project, but they ran into problems getting their money back from the project. To add on to all of the issues and problems, the game still has no projected release date. Now, the developers are also planning to make a standalone single-player game called Squadron 42. However, this is still in the pledging state and has no official release date. See, I have conflicted opinions of Star Citizen. On one hand, the game seems really amazing and unique with its mechanics and the game's take on an MMO. One thing I really love is the death system. Players have a limited number of times that they can die, each time waking up in the hospital with augmentations and body mods to reflect their brush with death. However, there is only so far you can go before your character permanently dies. Then a benefactor must be named and you make a new character, inheriting your old character's stuff. I love this because your character then begins to show the story of your experiences in the world. Missing an arm? Yeah, I lost that in a pirate attack who was trying to plunder my shipment. However, even though the game feels really unique and shows amazing potential, it honestly feels like the developers are biting off way too much. Instead of making a new single-player game or adding all of this content, they should focus on making an official release to the game instead. Release Star Citizen, and then add more content later over time. I don't think this is what the developers are going to do though, and I think it is more likely that the game will continue to float in its current state for quite some time. Maybe I'll be proven wrong though. I can only hope, because I don't want to get involved in the game myself until I know it is a more solid experience. But that is going to have to do it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in and catching this week's 8-Bit Update. Next week, we will not be having an episode as we're taking a few weeks off, but make sure to tune back in on April 21st for more 8-Bit Update. I hope to see you there.